Hey everybody, this is Noah Frere with Astronomology. This is my first video, so if you notice any dissonance going on, then please ignore the quincunxes in the monologue. We are going to talk about the Mars-Venus conjunction today, which is somewhat rare. Not in and of itself so much, but as it relates to a rectangular pattern that is very stable for this 2-3 day period around the climax of the conjunction, which was this morning. It's not a traditional pattern. It involves what's called quintiles and tredeciles, which are part of the 5 series, the fifth of the circle. So I will bring up the video here and you can follow along. Yesterday midnight, so about a day and a half ago in the middle of the night, the pattern wasn't quite there yet, but you can see this quintile at the bottom between Gemini and Leo, connecting Black Moon Lilith, which is the freedom principle, kind of like Uranus, but like much more so. Like Lilith represents vicious freedom from anything that's holding her back, especially patriarchal things. And Mars-Venus are the beautiful union between these divine lovers. So an example of what this quintile might look like, quintiles have playful creativity themes associated with them. They tend to manifest this inspiration that is present into some kind of concrete form often. There's some transformational themes associated with quintiles. So what this might look like, for example, say you have 2 new lovers who one of their parents disapproves of their union, so they go to Vegas and get married. That would be an example. So if you fast forward through this chart hour by hour, it's not long before Lilith moves. True Lilith is a very fast moving point in the chart, by far the fastest moving point in the chart. So she actually moves on from that quintile and starts moving towards the North Node in Gemini, which is your destiny. And shortly after that, there's this beautiful rectangle I'm talking about with 2 tredeciles and 2 quintiles, which is very stable for a couple of days. Now, it is a very tight orb I'm using here. It's within half a degree. This rectangle is relevant. So I often use very tight orbs in my astrology because I just like the precision of them. It's not very normal to do that, but it's something I've been playing around with a lot. So you can see here, I paused the chart. Here, let's go to 9 a.m. when it was like this morning when the conjunction was maximum between Mars and Venus in Leo. And so this Lilith has moved on beyond the North Node, so she's communicated that quintile energy to the North Node. At the same time, the North Node is quintiling the Pallas Athena, which is the creative intelligence principle. She also has some patriarchal issues going on with her because since she was like the female creative principle that was subsumed by patriarchy, which means she couldn't be fully feminine, right? But she is a female. Therefore, she can bring the feminine energy into patriarchy, preserving some of its principles. So she's a double-edged spear, you might call her, since her glyph is actually a spear. She's opposite Vesta, which is supreme sacred devotion, like single-minded focus in what's sacred to you. This opposition is not easy because it's like 2 cars driving towards each other and they see each other and they don't want to hit, right? All they have to do, though, is be aware of each other and shift a little bit. If they can manage that, then they can be harmonious. So oppositions aren't terrible, they just take some attention. But this opposition is helped by the fact that there is this rectangle, which helps to give some serendipity to the relationship because the tredecile, which connects Pallas and the South Node, and Juno, by the way, is with the South Node, like very partile, that tredecile is serendipity. Serendipity is when you're walking along the ground and you see a ruby and you pick it up and you're like, wow, thank you, universe, for giving me this ruby. So Pallas and Vesta's opposition is helped by connecting with the South and North Node, which is your past and where you're headed. That is where your soul is being called to go. Now, the South Node happens to be with Juno, who is Jupiter's wife, and she's great. She's like very devoted to her partner, but she can be very jealous. And so Juno and at the South Node is asking you to let go of whatever jealousies that are no longer serving your higher purpose, while you're going towards the North Node in Gemini, which is asking you to develop some maybe intellectual, light, younger social qualities that you may have. And since Lilith just passed over there, having quintiled Mars-Venus, then you're being called into this kind of freedom that's associated with whatever your lover might be bringing to you at this time. So if we fast forward further, so now it's 10 a.m., 11 a.m., this doesn't move at all, this pattern. There's like a perfect opposition between Pallas and Vesta and between the Juno South Node on one hand and North Node on the other, all the way into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning it's still stable, and now we get something new. We get Venus and Mars again tredeciling that South Node. So now there's this serendipity with letting go of the toxic things that are bothering our relationship with our partner. You know, this could even involve more than two people. It could involve three people, the way Venus and Mars, because Venus and Mars weren't married, right? And Juno was a jealous wife for good reason. But this, you know, if you want to take it that literally, you could go into this is an affair type relationship. I don't know why I'm saying that. I guess that's what the chart says. And there's serendipity with that affair. So maybe like the two women were friends and you didn't even know it, and you were a guy and you were having an affair or something like that. I hope that's not the case for most of you, but there are a lot of affairs going on, so it might be the case for some of you. Now we fast forward a little further into the afternoon of tomorrow, and there's another nice fifth series aspect called the biquintile. The biquintile is kind of like two quintiles, but you're skipping one. So it's got a similar themes to this creative mastery that the quintile gives you, with a slight more urgency based on the two other aspects that it's sandwiched in between. We're not going to get into those details, but maybe for another presentation we can. So now we got a lot of 5 series stuff going on, and we'll keep it going. It is now getting into the evening of tomorrow, and we add another quintile between the North Node and Mars-Venus. So maybe you're mastering your love with that person who really sparks your fire the most, as it relates to where you're headed, where your soul is headed into the future. This goes on all through the evening. It stays stable. And then the next day, you have a sextile where Lilith, who was once quintile Mars-Venus, is now sextiling. So that creative inspiration that was present between the freedom from patriarchy and your lover has now given way to some opportunity to develop some of that freedom even further. So this is like a kind of a week-long. Okay, finally, in the early morning hours of the 15th, the rectangle is gone. Now, that's within half-degree orb. It's still present. It's just not quite as strong as it was, right? It's still almost just as strong. It's within a degree. But I just wanted to highlight the really tight half-degree orb. You still have other quintiles and tredeciles and biquintiles going on, which are all very positive aspects, in my opinion. So have a good week with this Mars-Venus conjunction in Leo, which is a very playful, wonderful place for Mars and Venus to be together. And see if you can figure out how to connect your past and your future with the ideas of sacred devotion and like creative wisdom that might not always want to play nicely together. Thanks for watching.